Hi, I'm Terry, and this is It's About Writing Again. Today we have Kathy McKinsey, and she's going to talk to us about her story, about her own story of writing and coming back to writing later in life. And so, Kathy, we're just so glad to have you. Why don't you just start in and tell us a little bit about yourself, and then you can start telling us about your writing story.
Sure. Thank you. It's good to be here.
Thank you.
Um, so, what about me? I'm I have a family, married for 33 years. I have 5 children. I worked for 12 years as a rehabilitation teacher of the blind and had to stop working for medical reasons 8 years ago. And so I've taken up writing again since then.
Yeah.
Um, I started writing back when I was probably 10 years old, just real, very, very silly little stories.
Fun.
But by the time I was a teenager, I was really serious about it. And I even had a few things published, some stories and poems while I was a teenager.
Oh.
Um, and at that point, I wanted to do it full time, but um, I changed my idea for a major. I thought about majoring in journalism, so then I thought I could write along with that, along with working that in as a job. I could also do fiction on the side, but I realized that didn't seem like what I really wanted to major in, journalism. I worked on a school newspaper in high school, and it just didn't seem right for me. So I changed my major. So, um, like I said, I was really serious about writing when I was a teenager, but then I went away to college, and then I had a job, and then I had a family and was a stay-at-home mom for a while, and then went back to work. And so for over 30 years, I really had very little time, or at least I didn't make the time to write.
Yeah.
Um, but then when I had to stop working 8 years ago, for health reasons, I decided, it would be just silly not to take up this time, use it to take up my dream again of writing.
Sure.
And soon after that time, I joined American Christian Fiction Writers, which has just been excellent for me. It's been amazing. When I was a teenager in writing, I kind of approached it like a teenager. I thought the first time I wrote it was how it was supposed to be, and I would just send it off, like that.
Yeah.
I did read a few books on the subject of writing, but not a whole lot. I was just pretty sure, like I said, that what I wrote was the way it was supposed to be, and that was good enough. And so when I came back to it as a 50-some-year-old, um, I learned a whole lot more, and as a member of Acfw, taking classes, having critique partners, reading so many books on the subject of writing, I early on learned that I sure didn't know everything, and that the first copy that came out on my keyboard was not the end all, that it needed a lot of work, that I had a lot to learn. I had to do a lot of rewriting and editing, and so, over the last 7 years or so, I've learned so much, and mostly I've learned that I still have a lot to learn and a lot of growing to do as a writer.
Yeah, I think that's such a common story for us all. It's amazing when we see how much you have to change on your book.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as a part of ACFW, I met Kathy Kretzinger from Mantle Rock Publishing,
Oh.
and she taught one of the classes that they had, and she suggested that I send her some of my work. And so I did. And last year in 2019, they published 2 books for me.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Yes, it was wonderful. It was just the dream of my life coming true, you know.
Well, congratulations.
Yes, thank you. So, and they've agreed to publish 1 more book for me as well, coming up in the next few months, probably.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about ACFW then. How did that influence you? You said you took a class from there?
Many classes, many classes. So
Oh.
it's American Christian fiction writers.
Mhm.
And they have monthly classes, and I've taken, online classes. I've gone to one conference, kind of not really a conference as much as a retreat, smaller than a big conference, but still they had classes and other writers, and it was great. It was just wonderful to be with other writers and people who kind of doing the same thing I'm doing and think about the same things I'm thinking about, and take classes with that. And so
So was that retreat one of the regional things?
it was called Ken 10 Retreat. Yeah, I guess it's kind of a regional thing. It's Kentucky, Tennessee. That was last year. It was scheduled again for this summer, but of course was put off until next year. But yeah, so that was a regional.
Okay.
And it was wonderful. And then I've had many critique groups, critique partners that I've worked with, through ACFW.
Mhm.
And so
You sign up for a group, like a critique group through
yes,
ACFW? Okay.
I did the main group with that ACFW has, and
Mhm.
then I've been on several smaller ones, and still am on 2 smaller critique books.
Mhm.
Critique, I'm sorry, I can't.
That's okay.
Critique groups.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I had been with ACFW years ago when I was starting out, and it was
Right,
a loop, just the big loop, an email kind of a loop thing.
right.
And I went to a couple of conferences way back. And now I'm back on ACFW, but I haven't figured out yet how to get in and access all the resources that they have.
Right, right, exactly. They have many wonderful resources.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Um,
like I said, that's how I met, my publisher, and also just how all the people that I've met through there and the classes I've taken have helped me in growing as a writer.
that's wonderful. So do you have some books with you that you have published?
With me, no, I don't have them with me. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, why don't you just tell us about them?
So yes, if you, and you said that you saw my my website.
Yes.
So if you can show that, I mean, leave that at some point. That
Yeah, I'll
they
leave all of your links
great.
attached to this.
That's great. Right. So there are 2 books, like I said, that I've had published. There was All My Tears was the first one in April of 2019. And what that is a collection of 5 novellas. It's women's fiction, so just stories about women,
Mhm.
different areas in their life, different struggles and problems, and how they found God's help with those.
Okay, did you write each of the novellas in that book?
I wrote all of them, yes,
Okay.
all 5 of them. So it's a collection of 5 of my stories
Okay,
that
great.
are women's fiction. Right, exactly. And then, so that was the first book. And then the second one was Millie's Christmas, and it's a children's story, which I think is really enjoyable for people of all ages. But it's um, told by the point of view is the family cat, that Millie. And so she tells the story of some difficulties the family have over Christmas time, and kind of how they love each other through it with their faith. So and it's just a cute story about a cat.
That's the one I saw on your website. It looks really cute.
Yeah.
And I have grandkids too, so I bet they would like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a cute story.
Yeah.
It was very fun. It was a lot of fun to write.
Well, good.
And then the one that I'll be having published in a few months is another collection of my stories, women's fiction stories.
Okay.
It'll be called Gifts of Grace, and it's got 3 novellas, again, stories about women facing different difficulties in their life and how their faith in God helps them through it.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
And what do you see going forward? Are you thinking more novella collections like that, or
Um,
a children's
you
story?
know, probably more of the women fiction novellas in the future. I also kind of want to write a kind of a memoir of my own family, of our children when they were young, and some of the, because I do a lot of post memories from that often on my blog, and they're just fun. People enjoy them, and so I kind of have thought about putting that in a book form too, more of a lengthy look at some of that. So that's kind of the first project that I want to work on after I get the next book out.
Okay. How old are your children?
Well, they're all adults now. The youngest is 23 and the oldest is 38.
Oh, so I have children right in between that ages too. They go from
Right,
30 to 25.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
So they're all grown now, but I have so many fun stories from back from when they were young and that they enjoy and that other people have enjoyed reading. So,
Right. That's
yeah.
so good. Well, give us an example of maybe some craft issues that you had to relearn when you came back to writing.
So many, so much. I mean, first of all, of course, just rewriting. There's just so much, many things that we need to go in and re-edit our own things and rewrite and oh my goodness, just trimming things down. Not being quite as wordy.
Right.
Um, you know, Deciding on a point of view. I usually write in first person, not always,
Hmm.
but that's what I feel most comfortable with.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, just so much, so much.
Yeah. For me, one of my biggest struggles has been plot, just trying to get the whole, I don't know, all
Yes,
elements in there and tie it together.
right.
And I've still been learning. I've recently taken a course on it and just went through a book too by, I don't
Right.
know, Susan May Warren, and she's part of ACFW too. And I just finished her story equation book.
Yes.
I've
Yes,
read a
that's
lot of books about it.
that exactly. I've read some about that too and need to read more. I mean, like I said, there's just so much I still need to learn.
Yeah. And
And
it's one of those things that we all can keep growing on. I don't think
exactly.
it's like the Bible. You'll never be an expert and, know everything about it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it has been so nice to share with you and just hear your story. Is there
Sure.
anything else you would like for us to know or?
Well, you know, um, I don't know. I mean, I really, my hope is to write Christian fiction that helps. Mostly, I'm wanting to reach people who are Christians and who struggle with their faith and just show them the hope that God has for us. And how if we turn to Him, how He's like with the prodigal son, He's just waiting for us and He runs to meet us. And that's the kind of things that I want to hope to show in my writing.
Yeah, what a good thing to do.
Yeah.
And how about for writers? Do you have any encouragement for writers that are young or old or have given up on it or thought they should give up on it?
Right, exactly. I would just say, just don't give up. Stick with it. I mean, it was a dream of mine that I had for 40 years before my first book came actually to be. So and like I said, I left it pretty much for except for writing down the cute things that my kids said and did, except for that, I almost didn't write down anything for over 30 years.
Wow.
So so if you've done it and then have left it for a long time but still are interested, I recommend just go ahead and jump in, and give it a try, because you're never too old. I've heard since I've been on Acfw of people who've started again or started as in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and so you're never too old.
Yeah.
So my big role model at first was Laura Ingalls Wilder, who sort of writing her books when she was 60,
Yeah.
So, and I'll be 60 next month, or not next month, but next year. So,
Oh, okay.
So it's okay to start later in life.
Yeah, that's coming up soon for me too. So
Right, exactly.
yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on It's About Writing. Again, I will attach your links to this,
Great.
and I'll send you the link to the video so you can share it as well.
That'd be
And
great.
thank you all for listening, and for listening to Kathy McKinsey's story. I hope it has encouraged you all.